think I'm getting sick. This is perhaps my favourite book. It's definitely my favourite book about running. If you are familiar with Haruki Murakami, you might be more familiar with him for his novel. I have read this book every year since my friend John first introduced me to it. Is a lesson in this book. There's a few lessons in this book. I can pinpoint the exact moment when I first thought I could write a novel. It was around 1:30 in the afternoon of April 1st, 1978. I was at Jingu Station that day, alone in the outfield, drinking beer and watching the game. Jingu Stadium was within walking distance of my apartment at the time. I was a fairly big Yakult Swallows fan. It was a perfectly beautiful spring day, not a cloud in the sky, with a warm breeze blowing. There weren't any benches in the outfield seating back then, just a grassy slope. I was lying on the grass, sipping cold beer, gazing up occasionally at the sky and leisurely enjoying the game. As usual for the Swallows, the stadium wasn't very crowded. It was the season opener and they were talking about the Hiroshima Carp at home. I remember that Yasuda was pitching for the Swallows. He was a short, stocky sort of pitcher with a wicked curve. He easily retired the side in the top of the first innings, and in the bottom of the innings, the lead-off batter for the Swallows was Dave Hilton, a young American player new to the team. Hilton got down on the left field. Hilton got a hit down the left field line. The crack of the bat meeting ball on the sweet spot echoed through the stadium. Hilton easily rounded first and pulled up to second, and it was that exact moment that a thought struck me. You know what? I could try writing a novel. I still can remember the wide open sky, the feel of new grass, the satisfying crack of the bat. Something flew down from the sky, and at that instant, whatever it was, I accepted it. I never had any ambitions to be a novelist. I just had a strong desire to write a novel. No concrete image of what I wanted to write one about, just the conviction that if I wrote it now, I could come up with something that I'd find convincing. When I thought about sitting down at my desk at home and setting out to write, I realised I didn't even own a decent fountain pen. So I went down to the Kinokuniya store in Shinjuku and bought a sheath of manuscript paper and a $5 Sailor fountain pen. A small capital investment on my part. That was the spring of 1978, and by the fall I'd finished 200-page work written on Japanese manuscript paper. After I finished it, I felt great. I had no idea what to do with the novel once I'd finished it, but I just sort of let the momentum carry me and sent it to be considered for a literary magazine's new Writer's Prize. I shipped it off without making a copy, so it seems I didn't much care if it wasn't selected and vanished forever. This is the work that was published under the title Hear the Wind Sing. I was more interested in having finished it than whether or not it would ever see the light of day. There's a confidence there, and it's a quiet confidence that I think we could all learn something from. Also, I think it gives a lot of weight to, how do I phrase it, sort of spontaneous ambition, where you kind of realise that something else other than what you're doing is for you, and a lot of us ignore that, I think. I never saw myself as a photographer. It was never on the cards. It was never something I thought about. I didn't think about taking it in high school. I didn't think about taking it in college. I didn't think about studying it at university. But at some point, it entered my head that I could make a living out of making images, and I just went with it. And not in a big way, not in a bold, brash way, but in a way that I find reflected in this book. Make of that what you will. I'm just gonna curl up and die now. Oh.